Hey there guys, I'm Will and welcome to the Comedy Review, the show where I'm so desperate for jokes I have to ask my audience. Yeah, okay, no need to make it so f***ing obvious. It's also the show where we talk about things that happen in motorsport. Things like this. Aston Martin show off their love for bondage. George Russell takes up a new job as a professional paedophile. And Ted Kravitz explains how gay sex works.
They would now go, no, like this.
We've got a lot to talk about then, and we start here. Formula 1 is finally back, as testing got underway at the Sakir International Circuit in Bahrain, a peaceful part of the world that love our sport, well apart from in 2011 for some reason. The first running of 2025 machinery in anger was just around the corner, but first we had to actually see what the new cars looked like in the first place. After not even gracing us with a render at F1 75, Mercedes finally showed off their W16 in a Bahrain shakedown, complete with a radical side pod design set to propel them up the order. That show went well last time, didn't it? The new car prompted a flurry of responses from Twitter engineers who are so knowledgeable they haven't been hired by teams, presumably because it would give them frankly an unfair advantage. I've got an engineering degree, which was a great waste of 4 years, wasn't it? Anyway, I thought I'd give this a go. So, here on the Mercedes we can see a front wing. That's a mirror, which is particularly hard to spot given it's facing away from you, and a particularly sneaky addition to this Mercedes is this fake air intake, which has been closed off to stop Toto Wolff from f***ing it. Yet again, Mercedes come into a new season screaming from the hills that they finally understand their car and can challenge back at the front, though I do find it interesting that since this initial shakedown they've been all a bit quiet about that. In fact, George Russell was so traumatised at these upsetting scenes, see him covered in one of those emergency blankets and waving like Rishi Sunak for some reason. Elsewhere on the grid, we got this 50 Shades of Grey inspired video from Aston Martin, who showed off their 2025 livery, which we'd already seen of course, on a poorly rendered new car. This of course prompted a wide array of questions from the media, the biggest of which being, what was the f***ing point? That takes us to the on-track action, and you see, here we have a problem. Fans of the channel may remember halfway through last year, myself and Formula 1 management may have had a little falling out. Long story short, they tried to kill the channel, I now sell mugs with a middle finger on it, and the comedy reviews of 2024 were mutilated to the point where they were glorified slideshows. Not this year though. I'm committed to finding an alternative, and well, I think I may have found one. I'm now going through the painstaking process of animating every single frame of every single session into a professional cartoon-like masterpiece. And look, I know what you're thinking. God, Will, where has that artistic talent been all these years? This looks so accurate to real life. Now, hang on, why have you put that on the screen? Go away. Will it work? Who knows? But remember the last time someone's artistic genius wasn't given the credit it deserved? Yeah, it didn't end very well, did it? So with that threat out of the way, let's get into day one of testing. Lewis Hamilton has been at Ferrari for well over a month at this point, though his first appearance with a Scuderia in an official session was still enough to make Team LH lactate at every mention of his name. That was all tolerable until someone's bodily fluids got into the electronics box at the Sakir International Circuit, plunging the track into darkness and bringing out... Oh, I've got to bring this back again, don't I? This would also mark Liam Lawson's first appearance as Max Verstappen's resident cum-sock at Red Bull, the New Zealander quick to pay homage to predecessor Perez in the opening hours of testing. Liam will be under a lot of pressure this year, with the woke community viewing his promotion of Yuki Tsunoda as modern-day racism. The newly rebranded Racing Bulls outfits have already caught some attention this season by painting their car in their new favourite colour and hiring the French reboot of Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, come on, it can't just only be me that sees this, right? Maybe it's just the nose. Isaac Hadjar here would have another moment later in the day as his V-carb demonstrated the rear end of your mum. Fun fact, Hadjar was the third driver to race with number 6 since the personal number allocations began in 2014. The first was 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg, and the second was Nicholas Latifi. In other words, Lewis Hamilton is shitting himself right now. Returning to the present day, and it would be Constructors' World Champions McLaren on top at the end of day one, Lando Norris leading the way from Russell's Mercedes. That's not to say everything went smoothly for Team Papaya, however, someone accidentally spilling a bucket of Shrek's semen onto the MCL 39, forcing the team to hide their mistake by huddling around the car like penguins in the David Attenborough documentary. Part of me was just waiting for a predator to come out of nowhere and bite one of the mechanics' heads off. Instead, I guess we'll just have to settle with tearing into our ex-bell end of the week. The start of the afternoon session was hampered for Norris after his McLaren team opted to replace the floor in his car. Now, whether this was a scheduled specification change or due to damage in the morning, we don't know. But regardless, This was all apparently Oscar Piastri's fault. First day of the new season, and Oscar is already being a burden to Lando. This was almost about to receive Expel End of the Week, but then I encountered this special character down in the replies, preventing his teammate from testing. That's real desperation, lol. This coming from an account called Still Counting 4. Quite frankly, I'm impressed he made it that far. We've come across these Lando stands before, the ones that for some reason believe Oscar Piastri is the re-embodied form of Genghis Khan and should be murdered at all costs. Granted, the Piastri fans aren't much better, but they do make for some fun in the replies. Holy f***, how delusional can someone be? He should prevent you from tweeting instead. You f***ing idiots don't know how testing works. And lastly, my personal favourite, f*** up, you daft twat. Kudos to the fellow Danny Rick fanboy who pointed this one out, and if you want to nominate the next Expel End of the Week, use the hashtag on screen, tag me on the platform, or join our Discord. Now, on to day 2 of testing. Oh look, America.
Bitch, I smack you with that baby and
Thursday in Bahrain would see the first bit of contact for 2025, Piastri and Hulkenberg coming to blows in, quite frankly, a rather strange incident you'd expect more from a dementia-ridden grandmother trying to park outside a Tesco Express. With confirmation then that Sauber would still be doing Sauber things in 2025, we'd see a new name hit the top, as Williams signee Carlos Sainz entered the day fastest, just in case you needed any more evidence to prove that testing times mean f*** all. His replacement at Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton, topped the morning running, despite forgetting where turn 1 was at one stage. And Mercedes found the first sector challenging as well, George Russell going off-piste, then spotted caressing his car later in the session. If that didn't make his W16 a little bit wet, then the incoming rain certainly would. Yes, you did hear that right. Bahrain, the place so arid that even a puddle is considered an act of God, decided to host a surprise downpour as running got underway. That meant 10 Formula 1 cars, piloted by the best drivers in the world, got to pootle around looking about as useful as an MP in a food bank. Jack Doohan went straight on at turn 4 and was promptly wheeled into the garage while management went on the hunt for Franco Colapinto. As the rain intensified, many of the teams were faced with quite a significant problem, many opting to only bring dry tyres in their allocation for testing, mainly because we were in a f***ing desert and using the inters or wets is like having the choice of a paper towel or a shower curtain when your house is on fire. That meant teams like Haas or Aston Martin were rather proud of the fact they'd actually bothered to read the weather forecast for this week. I mean, well done guys, you brought intermediates, but you're also last for the second day in a row, so celebrate while you can, I guess. Haas were literally laughing their asses off when the final day of testing rolled around and their VF25 started stripping off on the main straight, and giving the other 9 teams an excellent view of how not to design a Formula 1 car. At the other end of proceedings, McLaren were looking like the team to beat, long-run performance placing them well ahead of their rivals after day 2, but the final morning was conveniently filled with mistakes for Team Papaya, Lando looking to go quick before practicing the famous bottle of 2024 before he could set a competitive lap time. Still, could be worse. Here's Alpine resorting to suffocating Jack Doohan. Bahrain f***ery was also at work once again, the red flags flying after Sergio Perez's 2025 role was finally unveiled and a stray bus started to make its way onto the track. Oh, go on, do the thing then. And then, as quickly as it arrived, it was gone. Like a ghost, a big diesel-powered red flag-inducing ghost. Regardless, it's a reminder that no matter how much money gets thrown at this sport, no matter how cutting-edge the technology, F1 can still, at any moment, descend into an absolute farce. It sort of makes you wonder what could come next. A cyclist in the pit lane, a bloke in a Fiat Punto trying to overtake Verstappen on the straight, or maybe Esteban Ocon being disqualified for running over an Uber Eats driver mid-session. As it turned out, it would be neither of those things, as instead, a pane of glass gave up the will to live and shattered all over the start-finish straight. No, we're not doing that again. Elsewhere, Aston Martin were continuing to show that they were the driving force of the grid, as a steam sack of shit, Lance Stroll got sick overnight and had to hand over his car to Alonso for the afternoon's running. With the Spaniard making about as much of an impression as a fart in a hurricane, it was all over. Testing was done, and we were left trying to work out what we could work out from all of this. Since the checkered flag fell, McLaren have said their shit, Ferrari have said their shit, Red Bull said they've been a bit better than last year, but are still shit, and Mercedes think they've made progress, which means they're shit. You know what, Williams topped the overall times, maybe they have a shot after all. We won't really know until the lights go out in Australia in just a couple of weeks' time, so leave your final predictions and thoughts down in the comment section below, and maybe we'll revisit them in the next comedy review. Or maybe I'll forget I said this bit and we just won't. I'm going to do something a bit different now. With the comedy review back in full swing, I want to do a little extra something for my patrons and members. So I'm uploading an extra exclusive video for them, breaking down the new Drive to Survive trailer, which seems to include a Toto Wolff sex scene for some reason. If you'd like to watch that, then head down to the links in the description below. Now I'm off to write the first IndyCar comedy review of 2025, so in the meantime, f*** off.